Mikel, good morning.
Morning.
Could we start off with any team news that you've got for Saturday?
Not a lot of changes. Obviously, the question mark on Thomas. He hasn't trained much, but looks like he could be available. So let's see how he trains today.
Huge boost for you if he's back.
Yeah, he is. He's a really important player for us that we missed in the last few games, but hopefully he can be available.
Gabriel Jesus updates. It's a regular one every week.
A regular one. He's progressing really well. He's doing more and more on the field. The knee's not reacting, so really positive. So we want to have him as quick as possible, but respecting as well a little bit the time frame that we got from the doctors and the specialists. But he's really pushing the boundaries right now.
What can you tell us about Bukayo Saka's contract? Do you have an agreement?
No news on that.
If he was to sign, though, I know you don't really want to talk about it until it is pen to paper. What would it say about him? What would it say about the progress the club's making?
Well, we want to keep our best players, the players that we are developing, and we want to create a long-term project here. And obviously, we need our best players to be committed to the club.
I think I know the answer to the next one then. William Saliba, any news and any progress on his talks?
No news.
Just on Bukayo, though, he seems to have been on the wrong end of some quite tough challenges. You've said that we need to protect him. Do you think the referees are protecting Bukayo Saka enough?
Well, I'm sure every referee tried to protect the game and the individuals the best possible way. Obviously, there is a lot of attention now on Bukayo, and we need to keep that in mind as well as a team and the plans that we put together, understanding what opponents are doing. But for sure, referees have the responsibility and they have to do their jobs.
Rather like last week, you play on the same day as City, but you play before them, so you can open up a 5-point gap with a victory at Leicester. But do you think it's a two-horse race for the title, or are there more teams involved?
I think there are more teams involved, and every day is going to be a race to how we convince those players today to train better, to play better against Leicester, because we're going to have to be really good to beat them, especially the way they've been playing the last few weeks.
You must have looked at the game against Manchester United that Leicester played. Of course, United played very well in the second half, but how much attention did you pay to their first half performance in particular?
The first half, they should have been 2 or 3-0 up very early in the game. That's the reality. If it's not for that bit, that would be a very different game. The game they play against the Spurs, they played against recently, really complementary about them. They're in a really good moment right now, and we're going to have to be really good.
Just final one for me. What did that win against Villa do, and the manner of that win do for the mood and belief of the training ground in between these two games?
Much better mood, much more positive, the confidence is much better, and the environment around training much better. The fact that the team showed the capacity to rebuild in a really adverse situation when you are 2-1 down and you played less than 72 hours before and everybody was expecting you to be tired mentally, quality-wise, belief-wise, to be able to come back and win the game. Is a really big boost for us.
Are they showing you characteristics that maybe you didn't know they possessed, or you believe that they had?
I said before the game that I had more belief in the players than before the City game, and it's for that reason, because I see them, how they train, how they react, how much they care, and basically how much they want it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go to Niv from the Premier League.
Hi, Miguel. Morning. How satisfied were you with the reaction and maturity your players showed Saturday?
I was really complimentary to them, the way they reacted, but as well there are things that in the first half we should do better, especially the way we played and the way we control the game, that we cannot be 2-1 down, and we have to learn those lessons quickly, and hopefully we can have a better and more consistent performance against Leicester, because it's going to be needed to win the game.
The resiliency you showed, what do you think it does to your confidence levels moving forward?
That you are able to win games in different contexts, in different situations, and that you can never give up in a sport, and especially when there is so many still games to be played, and in that game so many minutes still to be played. So the moment we adjust certain things, we increase the individual level, we were right in the game, and we deserve to win the game.
Did you expect Jorginho to settle into the team so quickly?
I did, because obviously he's got the experience, he's got the qualities that we need in the team, and obviously he knows the league so well that there's not a lot of things that are caught him new or by surprise, and he's done really well.
What type of Leicester City do you expect this weekend? The one that was playing at Old Trafford, or perhaps the one that was really impressive against Villa and Spurs recently?
Sorry.
What type of Leicester you expect tomorrow? The Old Trafford version, or the one that won against Spurs and Villa?
Well, they've been really consistent the last few weeks, the game they played, but it's true that Brendan has proposed very different games in many different moments throughout the seasons, and they have this capacity to adapt, play different formation, playing different approaches. We have prepared for both because it is possible, and let's see what they do tomorrow.
Ian from TalkSport.
Hi, Mikel, you well?
Yes.
Just going back to Bukayo Saka, off the back of Martinelli signing a new deal, if Saka signs a new deal, it just goes to show that Arsenal are not only building and their ambitions after this year, therefore maybe not creating a dynasty, but they're for years to come, yeah?
Well, that's what we have to do. That's our responsibility, to keep our best players, our best people, and the people basically that has the same aims and purposes with the club, to stick them together for a while, give them some stability, and from there keep evolving and become a better club.
Because you've always said trusted the process. Is this part of the process, not only bringing young players through, making them into superstars, but then making sure that you have the benefit of them rather than somebody else?
Well, it's part of developing a team, developing a squad, and as well, obviously, taking the club where we want. It's maximizing the resources we have, and we have huge resources because we have a lot of talent, and we have to keep that talent and keep improving it and making it better.
How big a game is Leicester? Because you've got then Everton at home this week. That's your game in hand on Manchester City. And if you were to win both, suddenly the gap is once again bigger than even just a one-game swing, which you've still got to play City.
Too many ifs. We have to go there tomorrow. We have to play really well. We have to compete even better, and we have to win that game first, which is going to be difficult.
And when you're in the mood you're in now, off the back of a win against Villa, is that much easier going into a pressure game where you play first against City than last week where you're going into Villa off the back of a defeat and there was maybe a little bit more question marks over your team?
Maybe for the players, for the manager is always really trying to get prepared mentally, tactically, to try to understand what can happen in the game and have all the solutions available, and the focus is just about earning the right to win the game and how we can prepare the best of that. Obviously, you have to influence sometimes the psychology part of the players or the team, and sometimes more about the mood, sometimes more the physical condition of the team. Sometimes you have to adapt the tactical part of the game plan, but at the end it's a challenge every week in this league.
Finally, just one on contracts again, not the young players like Saka and Saliba. Mohamed Elneny, he's been here for a long time. He's part of the furniture. Another new deal for him.
Totally deserved. It's an absolutely joy to have him at the club. I think what the club has done, it's absolutely brilliant. It's just not with words to say, okay, that we value the people that we have and we're going to stick to people in difficult moments. Mo had a very difficult moment a few weeks ago when he had a pretty bad injury and serious injury, and the club committed with him for what he gives to the team, or what he's done for this football club. And I think it's a really strong message by everybody at the club to try to keep our best people and our best players with us in challenging moments.
Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
Mark from PA.
Hi, Mikel. Just on Bukayo, we all see his goals and his assists and how important he is to the team in that regard, but the unseen with his, does he have to show a strength of character or was the bravery to go out and play the way he does, knowing most weeks he's going to get a bit of a kicking?
Yeah, but if you ask him how he used to be when he was 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, I don't think it's very different. Wingers and talented players get kicked, get fouled, and get demand to win games. And that's the task that he has, that's his role in the team.
When you see there's a perceived lack of protection, does it worry you that there might be an injury there at some point, that it might be one kick too many of it?
Hopefully no, but as well, we have to train that, and he needs to learn when to take certain balls, what to do with that ball, how to use his body, when to jump. It's a lot of things that we can train, but obviously it's very difficult to understand what the opponent is going to do.
Simon from Evening Standard.
Mikel, we heard from Zinchenko after the game on Saturday, and he was saying how big players like Ronaldo, like Messi, get targeted by defenders, and he mentioned Bukayo as that sort of player. Is that something he needs to get used to in his career as he elevates his status that he will be targeted and he has to sort of toughen up for that?
Obviously, he attracts a lot of attention. It's like Gabby Martinelli or Gabby when he plays, or Eddie or Martin. It's normal. Creative players want to be stopped and they want to be restricted, ball getting into them and occupying and exploring certain spaces. And what we have to do is try to do completely the opposite.
If you were to tie him down to that contract, how much of a boost would it be at a time like this when you're fighting for a league title to have that sort of lift in the club to tie down one of your key players?
I don't know. It's when it's done, I can tell you more. But obviously, we have the intention to extend the contract of our players, and when it's done, it's great news for the club.
Just lastly, another player whose contract ends in 2024 is Granit Xhaka. Has there been any discussions or any thought about what the situation will be with Granit and if you
Not
need to
yet.
extend that?
Not yet.
Okay, Kaya from Football London.
Hi, Mikel. It's another one on Bukayo, I'm afraid. After the Villa game, you said you'd review the footage of how he was treated by the Villa players, and then if you saw anything untoward, you'd report to the referees. Did you feel the need to report anything?
Sorry.
After the Villa game, you said
Yeah.
you'd review the footage of some of the tackles he received, and then if you felt there was something that you needed to report, you'd go to the officials. Did you go to the officials and feel the need to show anything?
No, what I mean is we fill a report every game, after every game, to expressing, when you are satisfied with the performance, if there was any issues, you have to report everything. We do every single game, and we put any comments that we want to make.
And did you put anything relating to Bukayo's treatment?
No, it's a topic that is every single week.
And every
Nothing
time we
different.
ask you about Saka, generally your focus is on what Arsenal can do or what he can do. Is that to try and maybe keep it from getting in his head that he's being targeted, or maybe try and avoid sort of a mentality like
Because
that?
we cannot control what the opponents are going to do, or the referee decision in a split of a second is something that we cannot control. So we have to focus on how we can help him to become a better player and be more efficient. That's it.